so I hope you like that intro. I spent quite a couple hours trying to make it, so I hope you like it. This video isn't going to be really like a normal completion. It's going to be more like a completion plus just me like talking through my experience with the tower and just like giving my strats, because I think my strats are the best. I hope you enjoy the video. Yeah, let's get it. Alright guys, so like I said in that intro, this isn't really a scripted kind of video. I'm just going to be talking through my experience with this tower. So to start off, we've got floor 1. A lot of the strats here, quote unquote, are pretty self-explanatory. I'd say in the early to mid stages of your grind, this is probably going to be like one of your biggest like roadblocks trying to overcome, like progress wise. There's a lot of chokeable parts here. There's a lot of jumps that don't really get consistent. Switch to 75 FPS. That's a recurring theme in this tower. You're gonna have to switch FPS for trusses and things like that. Stuff like that lodge right there, probably going to be the major reason why floor 1 is going to be difficult here. I guess in the first leg of your grind. Then next, we have floor 2. There's a lot of nets on floor 2, definitely in the first half. You should be good. Now, the second half of floor 2, it's going to be another major roadblock. We get there when we get there. Floor 2 was really a roadblock for me because of the second half. There were a lot of things that I didn't really get right when I was first practicing this tower. A lot of weird strategies that I used that didn't really work out. And I'll tell you a strat here. So for this lodge, you'll enter and then go forward in the lodge. You'll then turn your cursor to the left edge of the right platform seen here, and then you'll slowly turn until you get out of the lodge and you land successfully on the platform. Then you continue on through floor 2 as normal. You'll switch FPS here. The next part that I really struggled with is this wedge. Now, it isn't nearly as difficult as I made it out to be when I was first playing this tower. All you have to do is climb down, as you saw there. And then for this next section, you're going to want to jump onto the ladder to where you're really close to it, and then you'll turn until you're pushed out a bit from the ladder, and you'll hit jump early as you're jumping off of the ladder to land into that 1-step gap. Then nextly, we have the cylinders. You're going to want to flick out, do a regular head hitter, and then turn in. Flick out, regular head hitter, turn in, as such. And then for this jump right here, you're going to want to get onto the outer pole, align parallel with that platform down there, and then do a long jump and flick in. Floor 3 has some more pretty self-explanatory strategies here. Just be careful as you don't want to fall off or hit your head on anything. That will be one of the major reasons why you'll lose many floor 3 runs. Personally, floor 3 was annoying to me for this reason. There were a lot of times where I would either hit my head or walk off of something, and it didn't really feel like it was my fault. So that's why floor 3 was a pretty large roadblock for me, which is a recurring theme in the first and middle part of your grind, where you're stuck on floors 1 to 3 and you feel pretty helpless. It will get consistent near the end. Now this part in floor 3 is pretty netted. There isn't much room to fail here, and the strats here are pretty self-explanatory if there are any. Then we get to floor 4. This is one of the more consistent floors in the entire tower. You just have to get a lot of practice in and it will come pretty easily. For this next set of strategies I want to show you, you're going to want to climb onto this truss, turn rightward a little bit, and then do like you're doing a long jump into that gap. Then for this jump, you're going to want to angle out and then back into the corner on the platform of floor 3, turn into shift lock, and do a long jump. You will automatically be aligned to land in that gap. For this truss, you'll switch FPS, climb downward, and hit the left alignment key. second half of floor 4 is pretty strategy based, as you will see when I get to second half with all the insta-kill spinners and things like that. This section will not be as bad for you if you have practiced a lot beforehand. For this jump right here, you're going to want to switch FPS, wait until the spinner goes below the truss, then hold jump as you jump onto the truss so that you are bounced onto the subsequent platform. The end of 4 is a pretty big choke point for a lot of people first coming into this tower, but as do a lot of things, it gets pretty consistent as time goes on. For the last jump of 4, what I like to do is I like to inch out a bit to where I'm sunk into the platform and propped back up. I would turn out a bit until I sink into the platform yet again, and then I would jump outward as I am aligned perfectly to land the jump. Now we are taken to floor 5, where things are a bit more safe until the beginning of floor 7. The gimmick of floor 5 is that there is a pretty large safety net below the floor. However, there's a spinner moving up and down that may kill you if you are not timing your jumps correctly. Again, as are many things in the first half of ToQD, a lot of the jumps here have self-explanatory strategies that don't really need much explaining. For this truss, I like to get very close by unshift locking my character, holding W on the truss. Then I would turn left to where my cursor would be aligned with the left of the stud. Then I would do a regular long jump and then unshift onto the ladder. Nextly, for this lodge, I would do a long jump type strategy where I would unshift and then shift again very quickly so that I get a mini lodge to where I can successfully land on the subsequent platform. This next jump is just pretty hard. It was the reason that a lot of my runs were ended, but it does get consistent with time. If you fail that jump on floor 5, what you can do is you can shift back up onto the cylinders. When you successfully land on the truss, shown here, unshift your character and hold W until you get the farthest you can without falling off. If you aligned correctly, most of your torso will be visible in this gap shown. Shift to align your character with the gap and then jump as such. Floor 6 is one of the easier and more consistent floors of the tower from the very start. You shouldn't have many issues with floor 6 as long as your strategies are in check. For this truss, switch FPS so that you won't be bounced off the truss in an incorrect way after you jump off. Then align yourself to where you are close to the middle of the truss, but to where your character is not turned as much as I am trying to do here. You will notice a difference as soon as you understand the jump. Then when you are aligned, simply jump and turn as so. The jump out of this gap here was also a reason that a lot of my runs ended. For this, what you will want to do is you want to turn backwards and edge out of the gap as far as possible and then do the jump. It's as simple as that, and it was pretty consistent by the time I had beaten the tower. Floor 7 is known for being the hardest floor of the entire tower. If you ask many of the victors of this tower what they think the hardest floor is, they will almost 100% of the time say floor 7. The first half of floor 7 isn't very much a big deal, considering that you can fall below to a part on either floors 5 or 6 if you fail. However, the second half, also known as 7B, is where things get tricky because one fail will lead to the resetting of your run. For these flicks, switch to 60 FPS so that you get the most height as possible when flicking off. On this jump, turn to the left of that stud, switch your FPS, and jump off as so. Credit to Just Another Quacker for that strat. Here you want to climb down on the stud and then turn about 5 degrees to the right so that when you press jump and shift only, you will automatically land on the truss without having to do any other key inputs. For this slope, I usually like to align my cursor with the middle of the stud shown on the floor 6 platform below. I then use alignment keys to inch myself forward and then climb on the slope. I then inch to the right to where my cursor is shown as being to the left of the third visible stud. I climb down until I get into climbing animation on the bottom platform, and then I hold W and D. 7B is undoubtedly the hardest part of Tower of Quite Devious. However, it can get pretty consistent with the right strategies. The only issue I had near the end of my grind was figuring out how to do the beginning of 7B consistently, which is pretty awkward until the end of the grind. For this jump, I like to turn my camera left. I go out of first person and then turn it slightly rightward so that I don't hit my arm on the wall platform above that could potentially inhibit me from fitting into the one stud gap. For this wiggle jump, I like to inch myself as far out as possible before doing the jump. With enough camera control, this jump becomes very consistent. This jump is a ladder glitch to where you have to inch yourself as close as possible to the ladder and then do like a legacy corner clip. You will then be clipped through the ladder. In order to get as much height as possible, I climb down on this half stud platform and do like a 13 stud long jump so that I'm given height. I then shift into this lodge and land on the second half stud platform as shown. For this jump off the ladder, I position myself to where I'm as close to the right edge of the ladder as possible. I then get to the third set of studs, turn my camera as far right as possible, and then hit jump as late as possible off the ladder. This way I'm given enough height and distance to where I can land on the stud. For this jump, I first align my cursor with the right edge of the stud shown. I then turn my camera with the right edge of the stud shown on the wall here. I then inch my character out to where I will not hit my torso on the wall. I then do the jump onto the next platform. For this jump right here, I climb on the corner of this stud so that I'm given as much height as possible. The jump off the wedge shown here is probably one of the most infamous jumps in the whole tower. However, I made it very easy with this very simple strategy that I made. First, use alignment keys in the middle of the neon part, then edge your cursor out to the very right edge of the neon. Then turn your cursor about a degree or so to the right to where your cursor is aligned with the middle of the gap between the pink platform and the neon. Then do a long jump and turn inward like so, and you will land the jump 99% of the time. For this jump on the outside, align your cursor with the middle of the circle shown below on floor 4. The jump then becomes very easy from here. For this jump, align the bottom of your legs to where there are 5 studs between the leg and the bottom of the platform. Then do a shift jump into the 1 stud gap, and then you will be on floor 8. Floor 8 is more of a break that you get between floor 7 and 9 of Tower of Quite Devious. Floor 7 is the hardest floor of the tower, while floor 9 is a very close second. Floor 8 gets very consistent near the end of your grind, and you shouldn't be failing it as much. For this jump, I align my cursor with the middle of the half stud shown here. I zoom out and then align with the corner of this platform on floor 5. Then align my cursor again, going into first person, with the corner of the pink stud on floor 8. I climb downward and then shift into the gap. Thank you for Z Mighty Quinn for this strat. For this jump, I inch outward to where my cursor is in the middle of the 2 studs shown here. I then angle my cursor to the left of the second stud shown. I then do the jump, trying to align my character to be parallel with the frame. Please switch your FPS to 60. If you don't, you may get bounced in a way where usually it would only happen on 120 FPS. However, this has happened to me on 75 FPS before, and it is not a fun experience. Here, make sure to switch your FPS to 60 and climb down on the truss. This is more akin to how lag high jumps are done, however there is no lagging being done, and it's just the physics of the truss being manipulated to get as much height as possible. For this ball, I like to align my cursor with the middle of the corner of this corner wedge. I then jump onto the ball where I'm given climbing animation and then climb up until my character is bounced out noticeably. I then shift onto the wall behind me so that even if I do fail, I will land back on the corner wedge. The section from this truss to the very end of 8 is probably the hardest section of the entire floor. For this truss, you want to switch your FPS to 60 so that you are not bounced in the way that I mentioned earlier. I'm not sure why floor 8 has a lot of trusses that will bounce you in an unfair way, even if you're on 75 FPS, but it's whatever. For this jump, use alignment keys to climb on the corner as you would a jump in Tower of Vacant Hindrances. Then shift back onto the slope, walk your way up, and jump as late as possible. Since you've done the climbing strategy, you won't walk off as often as you would if you didn't. Fun fact, that insta-kill is not real. I'm not sure why it was placed there, but even if you do step on it, you won't die. Floor 9 was probably my unluckiest experience with this tower overall. I can't seem to find any other tower quite Devious Victor who has failed this floor 15 times as I did. However, with these strategies and a little bit of practice, you should be able to clear this floor easily. For the jump after the wall hop, I like to align my cursor with the corner of this neon platform, then turn my back to it. I then align my cursor with the very left of the stud beside the neon. I then do the jump, and with the correct turning, you should be able to land. This is probably the hardest jump of floor 9. The landing onto this ladder does not depend on your alignment with anything, it's purely dependent on how you were able to view the platform above the ladder and how well you were able to time your key inputs. When you land on the ladder, be extremely cautious so as to not hit the black insta-kill above you. Jump off and back onto the ladder so that you are able to get good alignment and distance. Climb to the third stud from the top of the tower, then turn to the very left. With enough luck, you should get the correct height and distance to where you can land on the second platform. The section from here to the very end of the tower shouldn't be an issue. However, if you are too nervous and you don't know what you're doing, you might fail it. For this jump, go into first person and go as far out right as possible. Then turn your cursor to the middle between the normal stud and the neon stud. Then do a normal long jump strategy and turn your camera to where you land a climbing animation on the 2-stud climb up. This is the notorious align with TOTSTL jump. Now unfortunately with the TEA lobby revamp, TOTSTL is no longer where it was. However, you can align with a similar structure in the environment to get the same effect. For this truss, go to the far right and align your cursor with the right of the left stud. Switch your FPS and jump promptly onto the platform as so. For jumping into the lodge, use a middle to middle strat. What I mean is that you want to align your cursor with the middle of the first stud to then turn your cursor to the middle of the second stud. This should give you the perfect alignment to land into the lodge and onto the ladder. The rest of the tower is pretty self-explanatory, just don't do anything stupid and you should be fine. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Did you do it?
Oh my god!
Yo!
Oh my god!
W!
Oh my god!
Wait, no, don't celebrate too early.
Don't say, okay, move in silence, don't say a word till, don't, what the fuck is it, what the fuck even is it, bro?
Move in silence. Don't speak.
Yeah,
Don't speak until it's time to say checkmate. Oh my god.
Yeah, just don't celebrate too early. Stay locked in, bro. You kiss your bumper with that mouth? Randy, when are you gonna trade off Messer?
Oh, probably soon.
Okay, come on, like, it's easy, right? Oh my god, it's done, it's over. It's over.
You did it?
It's over.
Oh,
It's fucking over, bro.
GG.
Yo, GG. Oh
It's
my
fucking over, bro.
W.
Yo,
It's over, it's over.
W. Bro, no way.
First horrific.
W.
How long did that take?
Boy, do I really hate editing videos, man. That Ito rant video is going to be such a pain in my ass to make. But, you know what? Let's save this file real fast and, you know, Let's take a little break with some Ito. God, am I really gonna regret this?